Hi everybody, welcome back to the BK Natural Bees channel. Earlier today I got a call about a swarm. Originally I thought it was an exposed hive, but then after seeing the pictures I was aware that it was a swarm, so we raced out here, and here it is. It's a pretty good size. Normally my mode of action is to shake them into a bucket and move them to a box, but I think we're going to be simple about this one and just cut the limb off and place it in a prepared box. So we'll see how this one goes. Show me. Put it on me like that. Yeah. Yeah. Oh.
No. Because then they crawl in this, and then they get stuck in there. Or if it's that way.
Okay, so will you cut this over here, and I'll have my hands on either side of it?
Yep.
So when we were cutting it down, we knocked some down, and we're going to wait for them to recluster, because if we would have just closed it up and locked them out, then they would be straggler bees. So we're going to hope they cluster in and around that that box, and then we can kind of shoo them in and get it locked up, ready for transport. Well, when you're wondering where they're going to cluster, or if you're trying to convince them to cluster in and around your box, lemongrass oil works. I put 3 drops on the top of that frame. The frame has a tiny little bit of comb drawn out from it, but it's not really about the comb or the nectar that's in that comb. It's just about the lemongrass oil. You don't necessarily need to use 3 drops. They can sense it far easier and clearer than we can, but putting the frame in there like that kind of gives them a place to cluster on in the box that's not that branch.
What?
A lot of these bees are putting their butts up in the air, exposing their Nasonoff glands, which puts out a pheromone that is vital to the swarm process. It's how when one or a group of scout bees find a suitable location, they'll open up that Nasonoff gland and kind of say, "Come, follow me. This is a spot to move into." So the fact that they're doing that on that box is a good sign. Okay, so you know what I mean? Well, as my niece Olivia would say, easy peasy lemon squeezy. You notice I've got a veil on before I started this time. My Memorial Day swarm left some wounds that took a while to heal, so I decided I would be smart about this one. And suggest you guys all do as well. Yeah, she's in there for sure. I am near 100% convinced that the queen was on that branch, did not fall off, or if she did fall off, she made her way there. I highly doubt that happened, but the fact that they're all just going straight back to the box is a good sign. Let's see if I can... And that's where they were. Just a few flying around right now. We will keep these bees locked up in here for probably 48 hours. The only time I ever do that is on a swarm call, and that's because sometimes they need a little convincing. I think a lot of times they like to find the spot themselves, which would have worked if this was our yard. We could have just set up a box with frames in it, put some lemongrass oil on the box, and allowed them to make that decision by themselves. But it's about 7 in the evening. We are 40 or 45 minutes away from our bee yard, and we needed to be quick about it. So we'll keep them locked up. Of course, before the end of the night, will remove the branch and add in frames so that when they inevitably draw out wax the way swarms do, it's not on the branch and in a crazy formation inside the box. But yeah, I think we're going to get ready to put these in the trunk now. Show you guys what else we will probably be coming back out here for, hopefully this weekend. I don't know if you guys can see that. In fact, I doubt you can. There's an entrance right about there that the bees are flying in and out of. Apparently they've been there for a good portion of the season. So we're not so worried about getting to those as quickly as possible the way we were with the swarm, but we are interested and more than willing to do what it takes to get them, not only for this guy's yard, but for our yard, to add the bees to the already thriving B&K Bees bee yard. So, but we're gonna wait for maybe these guys will cluster one more time, because there are some stragglers there. So we'll wait and hopefully they'll jump in the trunk, but one way or another, we'll be out of here fairly soon. We got this swarm yesterday. I had a video of it. I'll probably combine the two. And normally, like I had said in that video yesterday, I would keep them locked up for 2 days. The unfortunate aspect being that we forgot to give them food. Now, swarms leave gorged on honey, so I wasn't quite worried about it last night, but I'm not going to let them go 2 days with only the small amount of nectar that was in that one frame. So I've got a frame of honey and pollen set aside. I'm going to have to open them up, which will cause a lot of them to take off, so my keeping them locked up will be no longer possible. But at least I'll get them some food, and I'll have to keep an eye on them over the course of the day to make sure that they don't swarm out again. But if possible at all, if things don't get a little bit too crazy, I've got a queen excluder set right there. So I will, like I said, if they're going to allow me to do a little bit of maneuvering, then I'll put them up above a queen excluder so that if they do decide to swarm, their swarm is going to stay right around here, because, you know, they won't leave without her, hopefully anyway. I'm using a bee escape as a top because I'm out of tops, I'm out of covers until that Mann Lake order shows up, and I figured that'd be a good way to give them some ventilation and keep them locked up. But there's duct tape on the bottom of it where they would usually get back in from, because they really didn't want them coming out in large numbers in the trunk yesterday. So, well, we'll see what's going on. Oh, stupid smoker. See, we've got a nice frame of honey and pollen that I'm going to give them. I've got these bees away from the main bee yard over there because I ran out of room on the pallets, and I wanted them under some shade last night and, well, early today. But you might not be able to see it, but all of those crevices up until here, up here, are packed full of bees. I'm glad to see that there's not any dead ones hanging out on the bottom. So I'll have a spot cleared for them in the bee yard later on, and I'll have a regular cover for them as well. Oh boy, that's bees. Okay. And that's the process. Like I said, I wish I had the ability to keep them in there for another day, but the queen excluder will take care of that part of it for me. The bees are alive. They're humming. Now they can get in and out. I have to move them at night. Like I said, back to the main yard. But I ran out of room. I mean, we've expanded so much so quickly this year that I just do not have a spot to put them right now. So here they'll stay. I had a hive here last year as well, a swarm hive as well, but last year's came from our own bees. This one came from a call from a referral. And so these are free. Last year's weren't. But I have high hopes for these ones. I love catching swarms because of how quickly and vigorously they build up. So I'll have to stay in this box pretty steadily over the next month or so. Keep it giving them more room. So if you like this video, click subscribe. I'd greatly appreciate it. Otherwise, get out there and have some fun with your bees.